Good morning, Becky.
Hi, Bonnie.
How are you this fine morning?
I am just wonderful. I think I was outside this morning. I heard the birds chirping and some of my little bulbs, their little heads like the daffodils are starting to come up and
They're
things like
peeking
that.
up. The sun is
They are,
actually out today. I'm so happy about that. I
yeah,
actually went outside to get my mail and I didn't step in snow. So I'm kind of excited about that.
I'm excited about it too. I think when spring gets here, we might have to try to go outside and do something. So we'll see.
That would be so nice. I think
Yeah.
everyone like you and I are ready to get outside and enjoy some nice weather. Have a nice time.
I'm already planning some garden things, so maybe we can do some of that and some of my
That'd
herbs.
be nice. You have a lot of talents, so you can share all of your talents with us. We'd be happy.
Talents.
Yes.
I could keep the skunks out of my plants last year. And I had a black snake that kept all over the yard, and he would surprise me and I would surprise him. And I think both our eyes were like this.
That's hard to have a neighbor like that. So
I chased him with a leaf blower, so I don't think he'll be back for anytime soon.
you scared him to death.
I did.
I mean, I heard they're good to have around, that you shouldn't, bother them, but it'd still be tough.
It is. So today, it's all about comfort food. I think this time of year, we just need some comfort, don't we?
We do. Everybody needs a little hug, a hug in a pan right now, a hug in a baking dish.
We're sort of stuck between that cold and the warm, and it's really not either. And it's just, we need comfort food. So that's what today's about.
So what are we having today? What deliciousness are you making?
Today we're doing a chicken pot pie. Who doesn't love
it? An all-time favorite.
An all-time favorite. All-time favorite. And this is one of my favorites. Now we're still trying to watch our carbs. We're still trying to keep ourselves within that within our carbs. This one actually has 35 calories of carbs in a serving, and it's 1 cup serving. So you could actually take a measuring cup, scoop you out approximately a cup, and 2 biscuits, because they have biscuits on top. And actually has 38 grams of carbs, and it's 35 we want to stay at. So you might skinny that cup up just a little. Just
a tiny bit.
Yeah. Or go outside in the sunshine and walk around a few extra times. Right?
Yeah, make up for those extra few.
That's right.
Exactly.
Now the recipe I'm going to show you, I actually had it in, it's called Cooking Light. It's a cookbook I got several years ago. It's called Cooking Light. There's a lot of good recipes in here, and that's where this one comes from. Okay. So it is a little lighter. Look at that pound cake on the front. Isn't that yummy looking?
And that doesn't even look light. It looks good.
Yeah, it does. But we're going to take the recipe from here today.
Okay.
Bonnie, you'll get it up on the internet.
I'll get it up on our website or on our Facebook, and the recipe looks delicious. So I'm excited to see it.
Okay. Now the recipe calls for a lot of chopping and some things that you can always substitute. You don't have to go to the length that I'm going to today, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to use leeks today. And I don't know if anyone knows what a leek looks like, but it just looks like a great big green onion.
Yes, it does.
Now, these are grown in the sand. So they're very sandy. So you have to clean these really well. And when I was cleaning it today, it's like, what am I doing with a leek? But I think it just has a good flavor. So what I did this morning to clean it, I actually got this off the internet. I cut most of that green off. You don't want to use much of that green. I cut that off to about right here, just left a little. I cut the end off, and then I cut it in 4 sections. I had a pan of water, and I submerged it in water, and I sort of took it loose and cleaned the sand out, and then I rinsed it in water again. So you got to get that sand off. But here's what I came up with. If you can see on my plate here, they're they're just little pieces of leek, and I sort of tore some of them apart so that I could clean them.
So how are those different than like a regular green pepper? It's just the flavor, or they stronger,
A
or?
green onion. I don't think they're any stronger. They just have a nice sweet flavor to them.
Okay, so it is a different flavor.
Yeah, just a little. It's an onion, and you can replace this with just an onion. So you don't need
Okay.
to go get leeks. You can just replace that with an onion.
Okay.
Anytime it calls for leeks, I would replace it with one onion, medium-sized onion. But today I did get leeks. I thought that was exciting.
Well, it's kind of fun. I mean, I've never seen them used before, so this will be the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah. Okay. What I did with my chicken pot pie, I cooked my chicken earlier. I put it in a big pot. I actually put it in this pot, and I put 9 cups of water in my pot. I had 4 chicken breasts, and they were pretty good sized chicken breasts. Now you can do bone in. Mine did not have bone in. Bone in will probably give you a little more flavor, but you have to pick meat off the bone. You have to be careful not to eat those bones. You can do thighs, you can do legs, you can do all kinds of chicken pieces, but you need, let's see, I think it's 2.5 pounds of chicken is what you cook. So in this pot, I put 9 cups of water. I put 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Now the recipe calls for peppercorns, and I didn't have any, so I just put a teaspoon of black pepper.
Okay.
I put 1 bay leaf. I put 2.5 pounds of chicken breast, and they were skinless. You could do the skin, you could peel the skin off, but mine were boneless, skinless chicken breast.
Gotcha.
And it, 3 pieces of celery. I cut them up in about 2-inch long, put them in my pot, and 1 onion. And I just quartered the onion and put it in my pot.
So that's all just to make your broth, basically.
Right.
And so you
Right.
have all that stuff, and you'll take that out later.
Right. Now, if you
Okay.
don't want to go to the length of making your broth like that, you can buy a bottle, a box of broth or a canned broth to just make sure you have enough for, I think it ended up being 4 cups. So
Okay.
you want to make sure you have enough for 4 cups. But I
Okay.
did fix mine today, and I let it cook for 1 hour. So I just let it all cook for 1 hour. And then, like you said, Bonnie, I had a colander, and I separated the broth from everything else. I took the chicken out and let it cool a little bit. And then I shredded the chicken up. That'll go in our chicken pot pie.
I bet your kitchen smells good.
It does. It really does. And I can't wait to get into it. I haven't had that many carbs in a while. But anyway, so I put 4 cups of my broth back in my pot.
Okay.
Now the recipe calls to bring it's 4.5 cups of broth, but bring the 4.5 cups of broth back to a boil. Okay. Well,
Okay.
I did do that this morning, but I think you can just dump everything in here and let it cook up. It'll be fine. Since I don't have the stove on this side, I'm just going to dump some stuff in here. So I used 1.5 cups of red potatoes. Now I left the skin on the potatoes. You probably can't see
Okay.
that. And I cut them pretty small.
Like
I
bite
chopped them up.
size.
Yeah, bite size. They're
Okay.
diced. So I'm going to let my chicken broth come to a boil.
Okay.
And then I'm going to add my potatoes. That's 1.5 cups of red skin potatoes.
Okay.
And to this, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of celery, which I've already got cut up, and
Okay.
1/2 cup of red peppers. And those
Yum.
are both chopped. So everything's
Yum.
about the size. So those go in there. Now, if you don't want to get this involved, if you go through your freezer section, you can find this stuff in the freezer section. You can find potatoes already cut up and diced, they're frozen. You can find your mixes with red pepper and carrots and things like that. You can use those mixes. So
Okay.
you don't have to go to everything I did, but it's good and yummy. And what can I say?
Homemade. It's homemade.
Homemade. That's right. Okay. To this, I'm going to add 1 garlic clove, and it says to mince it. I have all my little tools.
And
And
I
I've
love
got-
that little mincer. Yes.
Yeah, I got my little garlic clove in there and I'm just gonna twist him around. And this just minces him, so I don't have to mess with it.
And yeah, you don't
So
get garlic all over your fingers.
Nope, I'm gonna put him in there and then I'm just gonna take my fork and I'm just gonna brush that garlic in there because I don't have to get it on my fingers and it's all minced up really well. Oh man, that garlic. Whew, that smells
Fancy tools.
I love my fancy tools, right? Love my fancy tools.
Well,
And
that's
it's
because
all,
you're the cook. You
I
do all the
guess.
cooking. You need the tools.
I guess. I don't know. I think I'm like a kid with a toy, you know? Okay, so in this pot, I have my my chicken broth. I've got my potatoes, my celery, my red pepper, and my garlic clove. Now, they tell you to go ahead and cook this up, and I know the reason they do it because they all cook at different times. You know, you want these to cook up. They tell you to cook this for 4 minutes, but today I'm just going to dump everything in there and cook it all at once. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Okay, to my pot, I'm going to add my carrots and my leeks. Now my leeks, I need to cut up a little more. So let me get my leeks out here and I'm just going to chop them up. I did this morning.
Now you use the white part, right? Not the green.
Yeah, I'm just using the white part. I'm using a little bit of the green.
Okay.
Just a little bit. So it says, see how much, it says a half a cup of leeks. So I think it's only going to take a couple pieces to make my half a cup. Now I could measure, but why?
No good cooks measure.
No. I mean, that's just another dirty dish I got to wash, right?
Exactly.
So I'm just going to add a half a cup of leeks, and I think that's really close to a half a cup. So I'm going to put this back on here. Okay, my carrots, I've already got cut up, and it takes a fourth of a cup of carrots, and I sliced them pretty thin. I sliced them on an angle pretty thin. So let me dump my carrots in.
So you're just throwing a little bit of every vegetable in there.
Yeah, basically. And they want you to cook it at different times, like I said, but it's all going to go in there. It's going to be fine. So I have my leeks. Now, if you wanted to, you cook the first, you know, your pepper and your celery and all that. You could cook that for 3 minutes. You could put this in and cook it for another 3 minutes until it's all sort of starting to get tender. And then to this, I'm going to add mushrooms and I'm going to add frozen peas.
Okay.
So I have a half a cup of frozen peas.
Okay,
So
throw those in there too.
What good is chicken pot pie without peas, right?
You have to have the peas.
You do. And then I put in 1 cup of fresh mushrooms. Now I have some of them sliced. I have an egg slicer, and I've probably done this before with you guys. Again, one of my gadgets. I've got an egg slicer, and I slice my mushrooms with an egg slicer because you get nice even slices. So I've already got some cut up here, so I'm going to sprinkle those in.
I love big mushrooms like that.
Yeah, they're nice on salad too. So I'm going to take my little mushroom. Now I've cleaned these. If you remember how I said to clean these, I just take the center stem out and then I just brush the dirt off.
Okay.
Now, since they're going in a pot like this and cook, you could wash them if you wanted, but it gets them a little slimy when you do that. But I just brushed the dirt off with a dish rag that was a little rough. So now that they're clean, I'm going to put them in my egg slicer. Okay. And watch this. Look, a slice.
How perfect. How perfect is that?
And there's your mushroom. Looky here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just perfect. All those little pieces.
You are so clever.
Yeah, I'm so clever.
You are clever.
I think I'm going to add 1 more mushroom because I like mushrooms in there. So again, I'm just going to put it in my egg slicer and I'm just going to slice them up. There it is. Very good. Okay.
You're going to have a huge pan of food there.
I am. So we're going to cook this up. You want all your vegetables to cook. So you want your potatoes to be tender and your carrots to be tender. because you don't want to bite into that chicken pot pie and have something not quite done. So let me put this over on the stove and we'll get this started. Okay, that needs to cook for a little while. I'll probably let that cook for about 5 minutes, then we'll check it, see how our vegetables are. It may not be ready yet, but I'll tell you what I do next. So I'm going to keep going. Okay. So we've got the vegetables all ready for the chicken pot pie. Now I made one earlier and I put it in my dish and I was so proud of myself. And then I looked back and I realized I forgot the chicken. Don't forget the chicken. Okay.
Kind of takes away from the chicken pot pie part of this.
It does. So I had to put it back in my pan, mix in my chicken and put it back in my dish. So see, things aren't always as they seem, right?
But if you didn't tell us that, we would have never known.
Yeah, but I want everyone to know that when you're cooking, it's an adventure. You know, it never is perfect, but you know, the end result is always wonderful. So I just want everyone to know that.
So have fun with it. Just have fun with it.
That's right. That's right. Okay, as soon as that all cooks up and it comes to boil and everything gets soft, you need to make a roux, something that's going to thicken that pot. So all that chicken broth in there needs thickened because chicken pot pie does have a creamy thickening, you know, when you bring it out. So let me tell you what I did there. I put in 1 cup of, 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Now I'm using flour today. I'm not using almond flour. We're deviating just a little. But anyway, there's 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt and pepper. And I've got that added. I've got that mixed up. So I'm going to add that in. Now this is our thickening. Okay. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 cup of milk. Now the recipe calls, I believe, for 1% or skimmed.
Yeah, low fat or something like that.
Yeah. And I actually had D milk, vitamin D. So that's what's in there. Whatever. That probably doesn't affect the carbs too much, but it does affect the fat. So you just mix it up, and what you end up with is just like you're going to make gravy.
Right.
So
to thicken your gravy.
Yeah. So I'm going to set this aside because my vegetables aren't cooked yet. Like I say, I'm not sure we'll get to that or not. We'll see. So I've got that all mixed up. Now, on top of your chicken pot pie, people put all kinds of things. You can put a puff pastry. You can make pie dough and put on top. But today we're going to do biscuits. It's going to be a biscuit top. So
that kind of sounds better, actually, because I mean, who doesn't want biscuits?
Yep. Now the recipe says it has 38 carbs per 1 cup and 2 biscuits. So I was sort of careful. It's supposed to be 16 biscuits and 8 servings. So I tried to make that happen. I think I ended up with 15 biscuits. So they're a little fatter. So again, I got in this, I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I have a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I have a 1/4 of a teaspoon of sugar, just a little sugar. And it is sugar today.
Okay.
I added 1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. So just a little taste to those biscuits. And then to this, I'm going to add 1 cup of milk. I'm going to make my drop biscuits. Now you could make these without chicken pot pie. You wouldn't have to put them on chicken pot pie.
Just have biscuits.
Yep. So I'm going to stir that. And then I have a tablespoon and a half of melted butter. Except my butter thickens up while I talk, but I'm going to put that butter in there.
Of course.
Of course, everything I cook has butter. I make some happy cows out there down there, farmers.
Definitely.
Okay. So we're just going to mix that up and make our biscuits.
And
they're
basically,
just
that's a
drop-
pretty easy biscuit recipe.
It is. You could add anything you want. Like you could add chives, or you could add some thyme. Thyme would be good in there. Any kind of herb. You could add cheddar cheese and make a cheddar cheese biscuit. So any of that would work. And these are just simple drop biscuits.
Which sound perfect to go with the pot pie. I mean, that's just what you need.
Yeah. So what I did, I actually took an ice cream scoop, a cookie scoop, and that's how I made my scoops on top of my chicken pot pie, so I knew how many I had.
Okay.
Now, this batch I'm making now, I've already got one made, but this batch I'm making now, I'm actually going to give to a neighbor. And then I'm going to give a couple. I have a friend that's having surgery today, so I'm going to give her one. So I think the good idea with the chicken pot pie, because it is a little more, has a little more carb and stuff, is divide it up. You know, make sure you have 8 servings. You could freeze 7 servings and have one for yourself tonight. And then in the freezer, you just pop them out and you could stick them in the microwave and you'd have a meal done.
Good point.
Yeah, but I think for the neighbor, I'm going to put it in my little dish.
Oh, that's cute. I bet your neighbors love you. You're always taking stuff over to your neighbors.
Yeah. Well, it's Nancy. That's who I usually take it to.
Oh, yay. I haven't seen Nancy for a while. I hope she's doing well.
Yeah. So anyway, like I say, I have a little while to cook on my vegetables, so I can't rush this. But what I'll do is I'll take a measuring cup. I'll probably take a 1 cup serving, and I'll dip into my vegetables and chicken. Can't forget to put my chicken in there.
Put the chicken in there.
And I'll probably do 1 cup. That will be a serving. And these are pretty big, so I'll probably put another half a cup. And then I'll dip out probably a couple biscuits. And you know, these biscuits end up being really yummy. Let's see here.
So you're going to make that one separately just for Nancy?
Yeah. And
okay.
And then see, when you dip your biscuit, it just comes out so perfect.
Yeah, so good idea.
I'll probably put 2 of those on top, maybe 3. I'll see how big they are. And I'll put my chicken pot pie in here, and then I'll be able to give those away or freeze them, whichever. But I am going to take one across the street to Nancy.
You probably could do a bunch of those instead of making one big pan. You could make some individual dishes like that. You
could. And then what you do once you get this all together, you put it in a 9x13 dish. Now I sprayed my dish with a little bit of cooking spray just so it didn't stick.
Okay.
And then I baked it at a 400-degree oven for 30 minutes. And I've got to believe, let me turn that off. I've got to believe the smaller pans may not take as long. Everything is cooked inside. It's just your biscuit that has to bake.
Right.
So you could tell if it's brown and it looks like the biscuit's baked, then it's done. So it's probably close to 20 minutes.
So the biscuits will get done like underneath also? Okay.
Yeah, they're a little, it's almost like a dumpling on top if you've ever had a dumpling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So anyway, I'm going to set this all aside and I'll finish this up here in a little bit. And of course, before I forget, there's my chicken. I'm gonna go dump that in my pot. Because if I don't dump
put the chicken in.
Yeah. Yummy. That looks so good.
Yes, I'm glad you didn't forget.
Yeah, let me bring it over and see if you can see it. Can you see all that?
Oh,
Isn't that yummy?
So that's gonna cook until the vegetables are done, and then you're gonna put the thickener in it. And it'll be like a gravy kind of with chicken and vegetables.
Yep. And I'm going to spray whatever dish I'm going to put it in.
Right.
And I'm going to put that, and then on top I'll put my biscuits, and here's one that's done.
Oh my God, that looks yummy.
Doesn't that look yummy?
The biscuits
let me dip into it and I'll tell you how yummy.
Okay. Have you tasted this yet, or is this your first try?
I've had this recipe before, so I know what it tastes like, but this is the first today. I hope I didn't forget anything. So I'm going to take 2 biscuits.
That's the serving size.
That's a serving size, and some of this luscious chicken, yummy stuff.
I can see the chicken. I'm glad you remembered that because it looks good.
You could leave the chicken out and make it vegetarian, but there we are today.
Oh, that's so yummy. And that's perfect comfort food.
Perfect comfort food.
Perfect.
And look at all those vegetables. Look at that carrot. Yum.
That looks like one of the best chicken pot pies I've ever seen.
Well, it's really good, and it's a little lighter, and I really like this recipe. So if you want to try it, like I say, you can always get frozen vegetables and use those instead of all this chopping that I did. You could even probably buy refrigerator biscuits and put on top. You know, you could.
I love having the biscuits on the top. I mean, instead of having a regular like pie looking thing, I like to have the biscuits on the top. That looks good.
It's easy to keep your portion size that way because the biscuits, there's 2 biscuits.
True. And you actually made those from scratch. So I'm impressed.
Yeah. And they're very easy to make. Very easy to make.
It looks pretty easy. I could probably pull that off.
Probably. You could probably eat it too, couldn't you?
And I don't have that fancy garlic press thing and all that, but
you can.
I could pull off the rest of it.
And you can put, I mean, you can replace fresh garlic, you powdered garlic with fresh garlic. It's just every time you change something like that, it's going to change the taste just a little.
It's not going to taste as fresh either as homemade.
Right. And it'll come together, you know, it'll come together fine. It just will have a little different taste. But this is what I've done today. So
it looks good. If I was going to make it, I would go all the way too. I mean, if I'm going to take the time to make it, you might as well chop the vegetables and just make it happen.
And especially if you live alone and you want several meals, like say this can be cut up in several meals and you can freeze it and then just pop it in the microwave and you've got a chicken pot pie.
That's what I'm thinking. I might try to make it in some individual little containers, little glass bowls with snap-on lids maybe, and then I could put those in my freezer.
Yep. Or you could even cook it up this way and just put it in a little Tupperware container.
Yep. Good ideas. Good ideas for us people that live alone.
Yep, that's true. Because, you know, it's all about eating fresh, healthy foods. You know, we can go freezer and we can go, you know, buy the chicken pot pie in the freezer section. But if you turn that label over and you look at it and you see what's in there and you're thinking, what in the world is that? That's when you don't want to eat it.
Yeah, if you can't recognize what it is, you don't want to eat it.
No, you don't want to eat it. And a lot of those things have preservatives because they want it to be preserved when you get it. And, you know, those are things you just sort of want to get rid of.
Exactly. Well, that looks yummy.
Don't forget to drink the water.
Plenty of water. Stay hydrated. You're keeping us healthy. I appreciate that you're making good recipes that are keeping us healthy and independent and productive.
Hip. Keeping us hip.
You're keeping us hip. We all need that.
I'm trying.
Now that we're be able to get outside now and things are looking up and I feel more optimistic. So I want to be more hip every day.
And you know, there's those things that keep you hip, like little container gardening. You know, if you want to plant some oregano or some parsley, so you have some fresh herbs. I mean, that's a fun thing to look forward to. And no matter where you live, you can always get a little pot and grow you a few fresh herbs.
I mean, and stick a few on your porch.
Yeah, so wonderful in food, the fresh herbs. That's what makes food so good, is the seasoning.
As long as you can keep the animals out of yours, you'll be okay.
Keep the skunks out.
Keep the skunks out.
Next week, Bonnie, we're going to be live. So if there's anybody,
I'm excited about that.
If there's anybody out there that would like to join us on Zoom, they just go to Facebook, right?
Yes. There's a Zoom link. There will be a Zoom link.
Okay.
And then they can chat with us while we're on.
You can ask me questions. You can boo me. You can clap for me. You can, whatever you want to do.
I doubt anybody's going to boo you, but yes, we can all be on there to chat with you. I mean, I want everybody to share that we're going to be live and it'll be fun, and it'll be like our old cooking clubs that we all got together and share ideas.
Now, Bonnie, can they get on about 5 minutes early so they don't miss anything?
Yes, we will let them on early.
Okay.
If somebody doesn't have access, they're welcome to stop in to either Marietta or Belfry location, and we will get them on Zoom right in the building.
Okay.
So anything we can do to allow them access, we will do it.
Okay. Just ask them to call before so they know that they're coming.
I would have them call, because we are still limited in the number of people we're allowed to have in there, but I'm sure we can work it out. We have 2 different rooms in Belfry. Even we can set it up on two different places.
Okay.
So
that sounds like a good plan. Next week we're going to do chaffles. Now you have to tune in to see what that is. It is a breakfast item, or it could be something else, but I ate it for breakfast when I did them, but they're called chaffles. So
chaffles?
Tune in. Chaffles.
Okay.
And
we'll see what a chaffle is.
And an avocado toast. And these are sort of a breakfast brunch type of thing.
I love brunch.
So tune in next week live and check out what chaffle is.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I hope to see a lot of faces on there next week that we haven't seen for a while.
Right. I hope to see everybody on. And like I say, you make sure you go on a little early so you don't miss the beginning. I'm sure I have something important to tell you.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thanks
I'm
again.
My chicken pot pie.
Go eat your chicken pot pie. It's always fun.
It
Thank you. I'll see you next week.
Bye-bye, Bonnie.
All right,
bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Yum.